Hello and welcome to our YouTube channel. Today we are discussing about the science series' second video about the cellular molecules. So I hope that you have liked the first part of our biology section, and I hope that it has come to a help to you. So we do hope that our next videos, which will be coming very soon, every week, will be of as much fruitful as the last one has been to you. Anyway, so without further ado, let us start today's discussion. So today we are going to discuss about the cellular molecules, which are important from our exam point of view. Again, I'm telling you that we won't be discussing anything which is related to your PhD thing or higher studies or something. We will be discussing only from the perspective of exam, because we need to crack the exam. We don't need to do the PhD. So having said that, let us move on to the first basic things of what is cellular molecules, what are the components of these, is there any category? If there is, then what are those? Then we'll just discuss about these categories a little bit, and our discussion for this part of the biology will come to an end. So let us start. Okay, so what is a cellular molecule? Any molecule which is present in a cell, that is a cellular molecule. Okay. Now, based on the structures of those cellular molecules, we can categorize them in two categories. One is inorganic and second is organic. In inorganic, we find three things, that is water, gases and ions. And in organic, we get 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 components, which is carbon compounds, proteins, fats, nucleic acids and enzymes. So these are the molecules which we need to understand. Like, we don't need everything to understand. We'll be going for this carbon compounds and all, because those are important from our exam point of view. As I have told you already, that we only need to study all those things which are important from our exam point of view. We are not here to do a PhD. Anyway, so regarding this inorganic compound, I may say something like 70% of the molecules which is present in a cell is water, as it is with the earth and your human body as well. So water is prevalent everywhere. That is why water is very much needed in your body. You need water. That is why the doctors or the nutritionists or any kind of dietitians, they always suggest to drink more water, because it keeps your cells always healthy and it revitalize your cells. Gases are also there, a little bit of like carbon dioxide and oxygen is mainly. Carbon dioxide comes out and oxygen goes there. That is why you are told to do exercise or yoga or running or swimming or whatever to, get oxygen in your blood vessels and your cells, so that the cells work in a perfect way. And of course, there are ions like sodium ion, potassium ion, then chlorine ion, calcium ion. These are all the ions which are inorganic compounds in one cell. So regarding organic compounds, there are very complex proteins in your body. There are carbon compounds as well. There are fats, which is a very concerning matter for many of us, I guess. So yeah, that is also there. Then nucleic acids are also there, which we have already told in our previous video, that is which is ribonucleic acid and which is d-ribonucleic acid. We have already discussed it before. And enzymes are also there, which helps you to break the food items or the complex food items inside your cell. And also they do other works as well. We will be looking for that in later slides, hopefully, if those are important from our exam point of view. So moving on to the carbohydrates. What are those? The carbohydrates are the sugars. Okay, very simple term. Carbohydrates are the sugars or saccharides. From there the term came, actually, saccharine, or maybe the vice versa. Well, I don't know about the etymology of saccharides or saccharine. Anyway, so carbohydrates, those are the sugars or the saccharides that provides energy to the cell. This is not only this sweet thing, this actually gives you energy. Okay, so saccharides can be categorized in 3 different categories, or in 3 different types according to its structure again. One is monosaccharide, another is disaccharide, and third is polysaccharide. So what are monosaccharides? Glucose, fructose and galactose, those are monosaccharides. What are disaccharides? Sucrose, maltose and lactose, those are disaccharides. And what are polysaccharides? Starch, glycogen, cellulose and chitin, these are the polysaccharides. Now what are sucrose? We have given you a very simple formula to remember all those things, because you don't need to read too much in details to appear in the examination, because we have to remember that all these questions which we're gonna face in UPSC mainly, this will be coming, these kind of questions will be coming in prelims only. In mains we will be dealing with long questions and mainly the applications of science in our society and in our infrastructure. In BCS, yes, of course it is important. In BCS you will be given some very tough questions in mains examinations, and for that we need to study in deeper. So keeping that in mind, we have somewhat set our coursework in a proper way so that you get both of the tastes of the exams. Anyway, so what are sucrose? Sucrose are the glucose and fructose. Like if you take glucose and fructose together, it forms a sucrose. What are maltose? That is of again glucose and glucose. And what are lactose? That is glucose and galactose. So these are the formulas which you have to remember in order to answer the questions. Now moving on to a little very crisp and very little descriptions of what these means and what these are. So we will be telling you what these saccharides are in a very crispy manner. We are not going in details again, I'm telling you, because those are unnecessary here. So what is glucose? Glucose is blood sugar or the grape sugar. Mainly whenever you see that one patient is diabetic, it means that he or she has ample amount of blood sugar in his or her blood cell. So what actually happens, like most common respiratory substrate it is, okay, and it is broken down in the form of ATP. What is ATP? Adenosine triphosphate, which those of us who are related to the science background, we know what is adenosine triphosphate is, and that is a kind of a, you can say, an organic compound and hydrotope. Actually it's an organic compound and hydrotope which actually provides energy to your cell. Okay, that is adenosine triphosphate. And it is also referred as the molecular unit of currency or the intracellular energy transfer. Through adenosine triphosphate, the energy transfers from one cell to another cell, and from that cell to your body, and your body functions. So it is a very important thing in your body, in your cell especially, to make your body work. Now secondly, we're going to the fructose, which is what is fructose? That is fruit sugar. Okay, a naturally occurring sweetest sugar. It is found in honey and nectar. Very crisp. We have to remember only these things. Then galactose. Galactose is nothing but another form of glucose, that is isometric. Okay, galactose is nothing but another form of glucose, which is isometric form of glucose. Okay, so what is this actually? Like, what is isomerism and isometry? We are not going in that much of details, but very slightly I'm telling you. Like, galactose has 4 forms. Okay, that is alpha D galactose, then beta D galactose, then alpha D galactose galactofuranose and beta D galactofuranose. I'm sorry, alpha D galactopyranose and beta D galactopyranose, and alpha D galactofuranose and beta D galactofuranose. These are all the isomers of glucose. Isometry is nothing but another form of a particular organic compound. Okay, so that is how the galactose are made. So that is why this is another form of glucose. We have to only remember these parts only. Moving on to the disaccharides, those are sucrose, maltose and lactose. So first is sucrose, that is table sugar or cane sugar. This is the shortest definition you have to remember. That from actually like examiners, they ask mainly from the source, okay, in this kind of topics, that what are the sources of sugar, sucrose, table sugar, then grape sugar, malt sugar, fruit sugar. You have to choose the right option, that is table sugar or the cane sugar. So you don't need to study in detail what is sucrose and how it is made and what are the, these organic compounds in that and how the reactions are happening and all that. We don't need to really focus on that. Just be crisp, but be very well knowledge about what is going to come, especially. Now the second is maltose in disaccharide, that is the malt sugar. Okay, so first found in the malted grains of barley. Those of you who have tasted barley, you may know that there is a very sweet taste in that. Well, I haven't liked barley that much, because though there is sweetness, but that is very subtle. You have to find what is the sweetness. So I don't like barley personally, jokes apart. So yeah, the barley is the first source which can be told as the source of maltose or the malt sugar. And also it can be found in germinating or sprouting seeds as well. Even it is very slightly, maybe not that much. It is presented in this. It is present in peas. Okay. And what is lactose? The third one, that is the milk sugar, we all know, formed in the mammary glands of mammals. Okay, and also like if you drink the milk of a cow, that as it is coming from the mammary glands of a mammal, it is obviously milk sugar. Now moving on to the polysaccharides, those are starch, glycogen, cellulose and chitin. So what are those? The starch is polysaccharide form for the plants. Okay, plants also need to energize themselves. So starch is the polysaccharide form of the plants. Like that is why when we eat potato, it is full of starch and it's very complex. Like it is polysaccharides. Like already we are very much troubled with this only monosaccharide glucose. So now that is we are having polysaccharides, that is potato, and of course you will be having triple or quadruple effects on your body. It is stored in amyloplast in plants, and when we eat that amyloplast, we get the polysaccharides from them. Like human consumes rice, potato, etc. to have starch. Okay, but starch is important for your body. It's very, very important for your body. It gives you the energy to function well. Energy drink doesn't give, starch gives. Energy drinks only lightens your and gives a push to the process. It doesn't give you any energy, to be honest. Now second one, the glycogen. This is the polysaccharide form for the animals. Okay, it is stored in muscle and liver in human body. That is called also the animal starch, not human, animal starch, sorry. So yeah, when you eat mutton or something, and when you get the liver, which in Bengali we say mete, there are very delicious dishes on this mete, I'm sorry. So yeah, so that time you get this animal starch from that. Moving on, there are only two left in this category, that is cellulose and chitin. What are cellulose? Cellulose are most abundant organic substance found on earth. Okay, this is the most abundant. Like in most of the places you get cellulose only in plant cells. Okay, human, animals, everywhere you can get it. Like plant cell walls. Okay, mainly the plant cell walls. When you are eating any kind of vegetable or fruit, the cell walls of that fruit are made of cellulose. which we have read in our previous video as well, when we were discussing about the cells structure and all, what is cellulose and all. So actually we cannot digest cellulose, okay, but it facilitates digestion as it has a value which acts as a fiber to human diet, rugged value. Okay, now the last one is chitin. It's a fungal cell wall. Okay, and we hardly eat that. It is a fungal cell wall. Exoskeleton of arthropods like cockroaches are made of chitin. You can see if you take a cockroach cell and you just cut it and you just examine the cell wall, you will get the chitin there. So these have been our this carbohydrates and everything which is related to our exam process. Now we'll be moving on to the next topic, which is the lipids and fats. Then what are the functions of the lipids? Then we'll be going to our very famous and the most discussed topic of our urban culture, that is the cholesterol. Then of course there is trans fats and proteins. We'll be going one by one to that. So let us begin the discussion again for the next topic. Talking about lipids and fats. So what are lipids and fats? Those are actually made up of multiple fatty acids. Okay, multiple fatty acids. We have to remember this point. Plants are requisite. Okay, plants have requisite biosynthetic machinery. They have this machinery to form all the fatty acids required for their bodies. Okay, so plants are actually somewhat self-sufficient to promote the fatty acids to their own body. But animals have the same machinery, of course, but they have exceptions as well, and those exceptions are verily certain essential fatty acids. So that our nature has created us in that way, so that animals need to hunt or need to kill the other animal or the other plants in order to survive. So what are these exceptional essential fatty acids? Those are basically these omega proteins. Okay, like we mainly get omega proteins from fish. So they are generally supplied in human diet as polyunsaturated fatty acid, that PUFA. Okay, these essential fatty acids, they are supplied in human diets as polyunsaturated fatty acids, that is PUFA, that is omega-3, omega-6, etc. I told you those are very much present in fishes mainly. Now if you don't have that much of PUFA or PUFA in your body, that can lead to the low vitamin A. You have to get tablets for that. So that is basically this PUFA are recommended to those with heart issues. That is why fishes are very much important, mainly when you get sick. In Bengali we get this macher patla jhol whenever we get sick. Why? Because that protein, that lipids or the fats of omega-3, that actually helps you to gain the immunity power again. It is also found in fats of vegetables, like vegetable oils and everything, like sunflower oil, soybean oils and everything. You can get PUFA there as well, and also found in animal fats like cod liver oil. So cod liver oil is essential for this lipid and fat, because that is that is one of the major sources. Okay, now what are the functions? Actually this helps to moderate the temperature of your body. Okay, like if you don't have that much of lipids or fats, your temperature will decrease. If you have too much, your temperature will increase. So there is this kind of things, like you have to maintain your temperature, you have to have lipids and fats. Energy source again, as special conditions like fasting, hibernation and aestivation. Like if you are going for a walk or going to work for a long time, you're doing fasting, then you need energy to your body to work it, to function it better or function it in a proper way. So that time the fats, they breaks down and they work as your energy source. Now moving on to the one of the most important topics of our urban society as well, and we may get questions from this in our mains point of view as well in UPSC, because cholesterol is not only an issue in science, it is an issue in our social structure as well. Especially those who are city dwellers, they have this problem of cholesterol very much. We all have this problem of cholesterol in our bodies because we are consuming a diet which is very much made up of fats and very much essentially based on very fast metabolized but very less giving feedback kind of food. Okay, so this cholesterol is the main cause of those kind of things. So cholesterol, what is actually this? We have to know the nature of the cholesterol, like found in animals and plants. Okay, these are the fatty acids with high molecular weight and that are formed inside the body, mainly in liver, and can also be taken from outside. So actually it stays in the liver. Okay, and it is a very high molecular weight it has. I'm sorry. That is why this is very much dangerous to your health if you get too much of cholesterol. But cholesterols are needed in your body. If it gets too much, then you get the problem. So everything is needed to your body. Only when you get excess of anything, something particular or some things particular, you get the problems in your body. Now in this cholesterol matter, we have to know about two things, that is high density lipoproteins and low density lipoproteins or lipoproteins. This high density lipoproteins those are good cholesterols, and low density are bad cholesterol because they cannot be metabolized. So if you are having the cholesterol which is high density lipoprotein, which are made of high density lipoproteins, then those are good for your health or good for your body, because your body can metabolize it, and your body can absorb the good things from it. But if you are having LDL, then that is very much bad for your health, especially for your heart. So what actually this does, this LDL, they actually deposit it in liver, okay, and blood vessels, and lead to heart issues and high blood pressure. So LDL can issue this high blood pressures and heart issues because it doesn't have the metabolized, like it cannot be metabolized by your body. Now moving on to the next thing which is harmful for our body, that is trans fat, and also it is essential for our trans fat. So nothing is harmful, like since through this lesson of science we can come to a conclusion that nothing is harmful unless it exceeds its mark. You need cholesterol also, of course there is a definition having said that, and you need fat as well, you need lipid as well, you need everything, but you need in good proportion. We cannot exceed the proportion or else you'll be getting all kinds of problem. So what are trans fats? They are unsaturated fatty acids. Again, those are unsaturated fatty acids like this, and but acts like the saturated ones. They are unsaturated, but they act like the saturated ones. So how they are formed? They are formed by continuous heating or boiling of oil. Okay, they are continuous heating. Like if you just heat the oil for a continuously, then you get this trans fats. That is why these oily junk foods are very much harmful, because it contains this trans fats and all. So there actually what happens, like whenever you are boiling the oil, that time there is a chemical process of this hydrogenation that happens, and that is why you get this trans fats transformed into your food items, and you eat that, and that naturally make harms to your body. And also these trans fats are found in beef, mutton, lamb, etc., and also on the dairy products like milk or the paneer and everything. So actually what this trans fat do, these trans fats, they actually decrease the good cholesterol. That is the biggest problem. They actually decrease the good cholesterol and increase the amount of bad cholesterol. That is why if you are a meat eater, that time you have to extensively do the exercise. If you are a meat eater, you need the meat and the protein of the meat, as we have already seen in our previous slides, that you need lipids and fats, and then this cellulose and everything. You need all these things, starch, glycogen, and especially the glycogen and everything. You need all those things, but you need to have a very good proportion in order to save your body from getting attacked by any kind of harmful things. So that is why trans fats are a very crickety and a very subtle thing which can make your body very harmful and very vulnerable. And if you eat in a proper diet form, then it may not harm you that much. Moving on to the next thing, that is the proteins. We have seen and we have also read, and we are accustomed to this term called protein, and we always see our doctors say protein cow and everything. So what are these? They provide mass to organism. Okay, the first point which you have to remember, they provide mass to organisms. Okay, proteins are polypeptides of amino acids. Okay, now we don't need to know what is polypeptide or what are the amino acids and everything. You have to only remember this term, that polypeptides of amino acid. If you want to know, you can go to Google and you can search, and you can go on searching and reading a lot if you are a good reader or a good seeker, I must say. But we don't need those kind of information in our examination. So human needs 21 amino acids to produce all proteins required for body. These are the important points which you have to remember. Human needs 21 amino acids. Okay, to produce all the proteins required for body. Okay. Now the most abundant protein in the world is rubisco or rubisco, whatever you call, and the most abundant protein in animal world is collagen or collagen, whatever you can say. But we have to remember these two terms, that one is the abundant protein in the world is rubisco, and abundant protein in the animal world is collagen or collagen, whatever you can say. So these are the protein things which we have discussed. Now moving on to the next thing and the last two items of this discussion, that is the enzymes and nucleic acids. Now nucleic acids we have already discussed, so we'll be giving a very crisp note over here. And enzymes are also previously slightly discussed things, so we will be giving the crisp notes of these two. But don't worry, whatever we will be providing, you won't getting questions out of that. So what are the enzymes? So enzymes are biological catalysts. Okay, these are the biological catalysts made of proteins. As I have told you, that enzyme makes your food broken down into small molecules and everything, and especially it helps you to digest. It helps in various metabolic reactions of your body. Okay, that is why the enzymes are kind of a biological catalysts. What does a catalyst do? It actually, in Bengali we say that onughoto. So what does it do? They fastens the chemical reaction. Enzyme does the same thing in human body or any kind of animal body or a living being's body in a very precise way. The zinc is one of the most important components of enzymes which is working in the human body. So you need zinc as well. So the zinc, though it is helping in organics things to get metabolized or get broken into smaller particles, but zinc that we have read in inorganic component, zinc, that iron thing, it comes from that also, zinc iron. Okay, so that is why it is very much interrelated, the biological ones and the and the inorganic ones, the organic ones and the inorganic ones, the cellular molecules, they are very much interrelated. You cannot divide them, that okay, this does only this portion, this does only that portion. No, the works and the functions are very much interrelated to each other. Now lastly, the nucleic acids, what does they do? They are the, like we have already known, we are not going to discuss the whole thing again. So these are the genetic materials. Okay, it actually, in a simple term, it actually decides your gene, okay, your genetic order, and that actually gives the life form to you and how you will be. Okay, like if you have a brown hair on your head, or if you have a white hair on your head since your birth, so your gene decides that. Because of the genetic material, it has been already decided. So these are actually made of multiple molecules of nucleotides. Okay, now nucleotides are 3 types. That is phosphate, sugar, and nitrogenous base. You have to know only these things. Nucleotides are basically of 3 types: phosphate, sugar, and nitrogenous base. With this, we come to an end of the second part of this today's discussion. Now we'll be moving on to a slightly different portion of our biology, that is nutrition, ecological, life cycle, and everything. So let us move on to that without any further delay. Moving on to the next topic of our today's discussion, that is the organisms. Like the living organism, you can say the living organisms can be classified into 2 categories based on the following criteria, that is the complexity of cell and the complexity of the organisms, mode of nutrition, ecological lifestyle, and evolutionary history. So basically we are going to deal with the living organisms here. Okay, so living organisms can be classified on the basis on the the following criteria, that is the complexity of cell, the complexity of the organisms, mode of nutrition, ecological lifestyle, and evolutionary history. Now about the living organisms and all, we are not gonna go into that part in today's video. So we are gonna tell about what are these things actually, this 5 criteria very crisply, which are needed from our exam point of view. The first one is the complexity of the cell. We are not going to discuss it again because we have already discussed in our prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell. You can check out our previous video of this biology series and you can know everything about this prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells in details. But still, I'm giving a very crisp, very crisp idea about what these 2 things are. The one is the prokaryotic cell and another is the eukaryotic cell. Prokaryotic is actually it doesn't have any kind of nuclear membrane. Okay. And what is nuclear membrane? You have to search it on your own in our previous video. In eukaryotic cells, it has a well-defined nucleus. In prokaryotic cells, it is organized nucleus is absent. In eukaryotic cells, as there is a nucleus, already told that there is a nuclear membrane, so there will be a nucleus, a well-defined nucleus. There is a naked DNA and there is of course a covered DNA over here. Then in prokaryotic cells, no membranous organelles. What is organelle? You have to search it out. Okay, no membranous organelles are there in prokaryotic cell. In eukaryotic cell, cytoplasm with both living and non-living inclusions are the typical 2 types of organelles are there. Now, these are the very basic structures of this prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. And if you want to know more, again, I'm telling you, please do check out our previous video. We have discussed in a detailed way. Now, regarding the second criteria, there is a complexity of organisms. There are 2 kind of complexities, that is unicellular and multicellular. What is unicellular? That is made up of a single cell with no division of labor. That is Protista or Monera. These are the unicellular organisms. What is multicellular? Multiple cells with divisions of labor, that is maximum forms in fungi and animals. Okay, so these are the complexity of the organisms which we have to know, which actually decides the living organisms criteria. Then we go on to the next criteria, that is the mode of nutrition. Now, mode of nutrition, there are different types of nutritions in our body which happens. That is autotrophic and heterotrophic. What is autotrophic? Autotrophic is not for us, because autotrophic, as you can see, that term itself suggests what it is. Auto, it means makes their own food. Okay, this blue green algae in Monera, then diatoms and all the plants and all the things, these are the autotrophic. Then dinoflagellates, those are also autotrophic. These are the you can say the not from the animal kingdom but from the non-plant areas which can produce their own food. And heterotrophics are, we are the heterotrophic, like dependent on other for food, that is and like holozoic and heterotrophic are like divided into two types, that is holozoic and saprotrophic. What are holozoics? Which we are, the human beings. And what are the saprotrophics? Those are the decomposers. Like after having the food, they decompose the food, and from there we get, like you can say, a hen. Okay. Now regarding the autotroph, there are two types of autotroph, that is photoautotroph and chemoautotroph. What are the photoautotrophs? Actually, what do they do? They do actually the photosynthesis. Okay, the bacterial, then plants, that is blue and green algae and plants. Those actually can do the photosynthesis. And what are the chemoautotroph? They do the chemosynthesis, that is the nitrogen fixing bacteria like microbacter, etc. Actually, this microbacter, they stay in the soil, and from the soil's nitrogen, they breaks the nitrogen through chemosynthesis, and from there they get the food. So these are the two different types of autotrophs which we have to keep in mind. And there is another type of heterotrophic that we need to understand, that is the parasites, or the parasitic. Okay, the ectoparasites and endoparasites. We know what are the parasites. Parasites are which are staying on your body, but they are not doing any kind of, like, they don't contribute anything to your body, but they only live on your body's materials. So those are the parasites. Like we have this lichens on our head, those are the parasites. Okay, ukun we say in Bengali. So those are the parasites, like they suck the blood from the root of our hair and they live on, but they don't contribute anything to our head except some itching. So that is called that is parasites. So now the ecological lifestyle, which is our fourth criteria for detecting an organism, that is regarding that we can categorize the living organisms into three types, that is the producers, the consumers, and the decomposers. Producers mean all the autotrophic forms, we have already known that. Consumers, pathogenic bacteria, you can already see in our screen that we have already given the examples, and we have to know only the examples because we don't need all the definitions, because UPSC or WBCS doesn't want you to give any kind of scientific definition in your examination. They only want to know that whether you know that this term exists, and you know that whether you are capable to answer the questions regarding this term and the things which are included in these kind of terms. That is the consumers. What are the consumers? Like pathogenic bacteria, anthrax bacteria, protozoas and all. And regarding these decomposers, you can get the saprotrophic forms. Okay, saprotrophic, that is the maximum bacteria, fungus and slime molds. Those are the ecological lifestyle. Regarding the ecological lifestyle, you can divide the organisms into three types, that is the producers, consumers and decomposers. And lastly, the evolutionary history, how they are, like we have got our evolutions. That first it came the Monera, the bacteria and its various forms which came to the earth. It is like, this is very hypothetical, we don't know still that whether this is established or not, because now with this, the new ideas and the new theories, they are trying to prove that the theory of evolution is not the theory of life cycle. So we need to, wait for another maybe 50 years, maybe 100 years, maybe 100,000 years to know the life's history and how we came on Earth. So anyway, so the evolutionary history we have to know, because we have to give the exam. So first came the Monera, the bacteria and all, the singular, the monocellular, living organisms. Then comes the protista, then comes the fungi, then comes the plantae, then comes the animalia. Now what are the protista? Kingdom of unicellular eukaryotic cells, okay, like diatoms, like dinoflagellates, then protozoans. Those are the unicellular eukaryotes. Now then comes the fungi, the kingdom of heterotrophic organisms. Fungi, we still have the fungi, like this yeast and all, lichens and mushrooms and everything. Those are the fungi. And then comes the plant kingdom, the plantae, and then comes the animal kingdoms, of us. So these are the evolutionary history of the living organisms. And regarding that, or based on that, we have just divided the whole system into 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 different categories. So this is the end of today's discussion's third topic and the last topic. We hope that you have enjoyed this discussion. If you haven't enjoyed the discussion, give us a suggestion in which terms we can improve our things, which term we can improve our delivery and improve our everything. You can tell us whatever you feel about this new process of video making and everything, because we are novice in this case, and we want your suggestion, your feedback to help us to be the guideline of our journey. So thank you very much for being with us. I hope that you have enjoyed your Diwali in a very safe and sound way. So happy Diwali again. For Bengalis, Shubha Bhatriditya. So take care, stay blessed, stay safe, and please like, share and subscribe this channel, and press the bell icon so you know when live we come again. Thank you very much. Thank you for staying with us.